Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and that's right, I have returned. The quick little vacation with the family ended far too quickly, but we did enjoy getting away for a little while, and I am back with another quick one for you. I am going to have something much larger, more board gamey up here soon. I just have to have a couple of days to get the rule book into my head and get it all set up and prepped and ready to go. But before that, this game was actually recommended to me by my friend David Thompson. He had posted about it on Facebook, and this isn't a game by him. All right, so he's a designer, love his stuff. He always puts out really great stuff, but he didn't make this. But if he likes this, then that means I'm going to like this because he puts out really good stuff. So this is Warp's Edge, and this is part of the Solo Hero series by Renegade Game Studios. And it's a game by Scott Almes. So there's actually another one in this series, and they actually have a little pamphlet here, Proving Grounds. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to get that. So I'm already enjoying the little bit that I've played so far of Warp's Edge. And if this is just as good, it's definitely going to be worth a look. So take a peek if you are interested. This is part of the stuff that I've covered a lot of recently. The small box, relatively small footprint, but a good amount of game in the box. Now, this box is a little bit bigger. You guys can see it's relatively thick, pretty big. But the good part about that is it's storage, right? This game is designed to be able to be stored and pulled out relatively easily, because if you look at the bottom of the box, you see the rest of the storage trays, because there's two up there at the top to put tokens in, and then the one in the box that has spots for the rest of the tokens you're not using, cards, all the other good stuff. So they really did make this player friendly. And I love it when they do this, because they could have saved cost by cutting out the trays and just having you jam little plastic baggies in there. But that's always a pain in the butt. So it is nice when they include that. So components wise, this game is definitely kicking butt right off the bat. The rest of the stuff, the cards are your standard cards. The tokens and cardboard are all plenty thick enough to be perfectly serviceable. So as far as components, definitely getting an A, because I love it when it's easy to store. The trays up here have little plastic covers, so you can just slap these down on top of it. When you're done, and boom, you're good to go. Easy peasy packing up. I love that. Now, something about this game, and I believe the other one in the Solo Hero series has it as well, is there's a little story booklet that comes with it. And it's almost like a little choose your own adventure type deal. It's got art in it, choosing certain things. I'm not going to tell you the story, but you can read through it on your own. And you can see it says, do this, turn to this page, do this, turn to this page. It's illustrated, nice little story. And I believe you can incorporate this into the game as well. So neat aspect that they included with the game. But the basic premise is you've got your little spaceship and you've got to destroy whatever mothership you're going after. Now, as far as the spaceships are concerned, you have 4 to pick from. They are front and back. They each have their own special abilities, stats, all the other good stuff. So picture of it. On the side of it here, we see our stats or our turn details. Sorry, I had to break that for a sec. Puppy needed some attention. But anyway, we have our sequence of play. Really nice. I like when they have that laid out. Somewhere easy to see so you can keep track of it really easily. Just flow down through your steps and you're good. Picture of our ship. And all the ships have different amounts of hull and shields. That's what's represented over here. Cute little wooden tokens to keep track of it. Your hull on the left and your shields on the right. You have a hold that you can put tokens in, and they can hold different amounts. We see 2 for this one. And you can convert energy into shields. We'll show that as we go along. Any special abilities of the ship will be here. This one's kind of a little jack of all trades, no special ability for it. But you notice it says power right here. Let's get close enough so you guys can see that. And each one of the ships has different power tokens. That's actually really cool. If you remember when I showed you the bottom of the box, there were extra power tokens in there. And when you play the game, you're only going to have your ship's specific tokens in these power slots. So POWER. And one of them is a golden one, which is special for that ship. because it actually gets to start in our bag. So I will grab one of these out to set with my starter tokens, but we'll touch on those here in a sec. So like you see, this one has some different abilities, much weaker shields and hull, but if the hull reaches 0, you don't lose the game. The others, you will lose the game. This one, it just resets the current warp. The warp is basically your time limit. We'll get into that when we start showing the rounds of the game, but you only have so many of those warps to actually complete the game. So we will flip this back over, throw our little shield token, our hull token back there. We're good. And just to show you guys, this is another one of the ships you can choose from, the Hermes. A lot of shield on this one. At the game start, gain 1 extra skill card, which is actually pretty cool. Targets require 1 extra laser to destroy. That's pretty bad. And we also have the Titan, which has a buttload of hull, but not a whole lot of shields. So just a few shields on that fella, but it's going to take a lot to chip through that hull. Targets require 1 extra maneuver to evade. So in other words, this one's pretty tanky, but it's not very maneuverable, which is to be expected. Hull holds a lot though with 4, so good stuff. But those are the ships you have to choose from. But you do have multiple choices when it comes to your enemy as well. Now this token here at the upper left keeps track of what warp you're on. That's that time limit I was talking about. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Difficulty shows how many stars. The more stars, more difficult it is. This is your basic one, the dread that you can start off with. And the deck setup over here shows you what enemy cards you start with. So there's easy, medium, and hard, and you have X amount of cards. So each one of the motherships is going to have different cards or different numbers of cards in its enemy deck, which gets shuffled around depending on what stage of the game you're in. Then any special abilities of the enemy ship are located here. Things like this one can't attack or be attacked until all the enemies in the deck row have been defeated during the current warp. So during your current turn, you're going to have to clear them all out if you're going to start putting damage towards the mothership here. Neat part, just like our ships, you can flip it over and there's other enemies you can go after. This one is the duo. Couple of skull heads, robot heads that you're going after. Cool looking enemies there. And we'll throw this back down and show you guys some of the other motherships you can go against. There are 6 that come in the game. This one is the Hydra. And then on the back of that is the Array, which has a bunch of sections. This is 5 sections to destroy. That's a lot of sections to take out. And then the Revenant, which this one is actually not technically double-sided because it changes forms during the boss fight. So when you flip this one over, it becomes this version of the Revenant, which is just freaking awesome. And look at this thing. It does 10 damage though. 10 damage will wipe out most of the ships in one hit. So you have to try to keep this thing stunned or, not putting damage out because otherwise it'll just raffle stomp on you. And you can see on this side of the enemy deck, it's got a lot more easy enemies, but this side, the enemy deck changes and only 1 easy, but a lot of hard ones. So really cool. You can change whatever difficulty you want. 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. Just work your way up. Do it as a campaign. Try different combinations of ships that you want to fly. So there is a fair amount of replayability with the game. Also, the enemy deck here is going to change game to game because you're going to shuffle it around. So you won't always know which enemies you're going against. So that gives the game replayability as well as our skill deck, which we start with 1. We get to draw 2. So this part of setup, I did save, and we get to flip and look at these and choose which one we keep. That will become part of our ship. And then the other we have to put at the bottom. And we can potentially get more depending on what happens, what rewards we get. Say move 1 enemy from the row to the bottom of the deck. That's pretty cool. Targets require 1 less laser to destroy this turn. I like that. It's bright red jacket. So I think I'm going to take that one. I can use that for 1 energy activation. I can make it to where targets require 1 less energy to destroy and just go hog wild blasting lasers. Sounds like my type of thing. So I'm going to put this right here as my skill for now. So I'll take this other one, throw it at the bottom of this deck, and potentially get some more of those skill cards later on to beef up my ship. All right, so something you might have noticed that you have not seen as of yet is any dice. And that's because there are no dice for this game. It's all about the tokens. If you have played, and by the way, nice ass bag with us. This is very nicely constructed. How bad would it be if I tore that thing during the video? Damn, they'd be so pissed. But it's very, very well constructed. Love this little token bag. Very nicely stitched on here too. Kind of like the Arkham Horror card game that you can play solo or cooperatively, where it's all tokens. Your token bag can adjust the difficulty, and you're playing off your little card deck, but you're operating off that token bag. Same thing here. Now we have a starting set of tokens. One was that yellow one that I pulled out of my power ones earlier, and the rest are these white border tokens that you always start with. So you've got 10, technically 11 with the one power token. And what it is your green ones are your energy. So we have 2 1s and a 2. Think of these kind of like currency. They can be used to refill your shields, buy other tokens up here, activate special abilities. So you use these for a lot of different things. We'll throw these into the bag. My favorite, lasers. Gotta love lasers. And the lasers are just like the energy. They have different numerical values on them. 1s, 2s, 3s. So the more powerful the laser, more damage it does. Different enemies require certain amounts of damage to actually destroy them. So bam, throw these in there as well. And then we have our maneuver tokens. Think of this as a different way to take enemies out. You can evade them. You can outmaneuver them and stun them or evade them that way, and it kind of gets rid of the enemy. Same type thing. You get 3 1s of these as well. And we'll take our last little one here. We'll bunch this up a little bit, shake it around, because we're going to be drawing from this to do our game. And I really need to shuffle these better. All right, go, get in there. Because I don't want to draw all the same token. I want to have them really mixed up. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to play through a few rounds of this and let you guys kind of see how the warp works, how dealing with enemies work, how taking damage works, all that good stuff. All right, so the first thing we got to do is populate the enemy row. That's going to have 4 cards laid out there across it. We've already got our deck ready to go. It starts off with the easiest ones on top, the yellow ones, then goes to the medium and then the hard, but that will change up as you go along. Eventually, they just all get kind of mixed up as you get into further warps. I swear, nothing in my office will ding or make a noise for hours on end. The moment I start recording, that's when everything has to go blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let's draw 1. We have a scout, and just to give you an example of what these things are, shows a picture of it, how much damage it does, name, and the level of the enemy. This is level 1, so yellow. And then the thing is, you got to pay attention to what's up top up here. This is how much of whatever token you need to destroy this enemy. So either 2 lasers will destroy it or 1 outmaneuver. And then you notice there are tokens below that represented. So if we destroy this thing with lasers, we gain a laser token. But if we outmaneuver it, we gain an energy token. So all the enemies are set up that way to where it's one of 2 different rewards. So you might want to take out some enemies in a specific fashion so you can gain whatever reward is shown on their card. But that also is going to depend on what your token pool is at the time. So that's our first guy. Draw our second. We have a spider. Also 1 damage, but takes a few more lasers to kill. Takes 2 maneuvers, so a little bit stronger than the other one. But all enemies, whether or not they are maneuvered or lasered, whatever the case may be, if you at least have 1 token placed on them, even if it's not enough to destroy them, it will stun them. And by stunning them, they will not put out damage. So after that happens, you'll slide the tokens to the top of the card, and then they'll be able to be attacked later, fully destroyed or outmaneuvered, whatever the case is. So you might not be able to take them out right off the bat, but you can get them later, but you can prevent them from doing damage to you during the course of the game if you spread your tokens out right. So it's not necessarily an idea of just trying to focus fire certain ones down. That might work. It's all going to depend on the enemy, but some enemies have special abilities that throw that all out of whack. So we just have to see what comes up. Slide down and give us a little bit more room for our tokens. Next enemy, we have an Intruder. 2 and a 1, some maneuvers, some lasers, good stuff. This one does 2 damage, so I really don't want him doing any damage, because while you lose hull, nothing bad happens. But if you lose shields, any of your discarded tokens have to be removed from the game. So you really don't want that to happen. As you lose shields, you lose tokens. You don't want to lose the tokens. You want to gain those tokens. All right, and we got one more enemy to draw here. Let's flip him over, and he is a mercenary. Not too bad. So 2 and 2, either one will destroy him and give us some decent rewards. So obviously the easy guys are going to be easy to destroy. So we have done our first step. We've filled the row, and you're going to do this each time. So this guy's going to be a little bit of a pain because we got to clear this before we can put damage towards him. But when we get to step 2, that's where this little bag comes into play. That's where we start drawing our tokens out. So let me stick my hand in here, shuffle this around. I want to draw a nice little selection. We're going to draw 5 out. All right, so 1 and 2. Got an energy and a gun. Give me 2 more. A little maneuver and more energy. Oof. Okay, and 1 more. Another laser. All right. Now, before we get started, something else neat. They did include a card that summarizes what all of the game rewards means, because some of them are a little bit different, so they can get confusing. Like this one, I definitely want to get, because that's gain a skill card from the deck. Skill cards are great. All right. So let's take a look at what we want to do with our stuff. We've got a list of actions we can do, and it's pretty much we do as much as we can with our tokens. We have 3 energy to spend, but 1 is a 2. We can't just break that up, okay? We've got 2 lasers and 1 maneuver. Now, this guy can be taken out with a single maneuver, so that's probably a good way for me to spend that. I'm probably going to have to try to nail down a couple of these guys with lasers, because I can only place 1 token on them. I can't double up and do like this in a single turn, okay? So that's why you need to get more tokens. You want to stun them, keep them pinned down. All right, we definitely know we're going to evade this guy. All right, so we'll resolve that here in a sec. And I'm thinking I'm going to buy some tokens with my energy. Let's see, I could buy a bunch of laser tokens to put in the bag. And if I buy them, they go into my bag and they're there, all right? Buy them up here from the supply. I can buy energy tokens just flat out, but they get kind of expensive. It takes 4 energy to gain 1 of the 3 energy. So it basically costs 1 more for whatever type of energy you're using. And right now, I think I'd rather have more rather than less. So we'll place these in our discard, and we will, actually I want to. Let's do it this way. We're going to buy a single laser and a dual laser, right? So 1 damage and 2 damage. We're going to throw those into the bag. So everything that we buy like that gets thrown in the bag for later. Perfect, good stuff. We can use it. Now I've got 2 lasers left. And this guy I think probably should be outmaneuvered, because he requires 3 to take out versus these guys with 2. But I can stun both of them. So if we stun this one and stun this one, we should be good. All right, that's what I'm thinking I'm going to go with. Actually, I changed my mind on something I am doing. All right, we're going to start off swinging. I'm going to, instead of spending that token, that energy to buy this, and put that back, all right, because I saw something better I could do. I'm going to spend it to activate my skill, because this allows targets to require 1 less laser to destroy this turn. Bam. Spend that, so he's good. So I'm still spending the same amount of energy, but that makes it to where these 3 all get destroyed and I'll just take a single damage. I'm good with that. I can survive that. All right, so let's go ahead and resolve what we have done. Now that they're taking less damage left or right, we'll place this here. He's getting destroyed, so we'll put him in our discard. And since he was destroyed, I get that laser back anyway. So that's going to get added to our deck. He's going to be doing damage to me, which we'll resolve here in a sec. He's getting destroyed. And we're getting also another laser because we evaded him. So a single token. I'm good with that. All these I'm stacking up right here to throw into my bag. This guy was taken out and he gains us, I think it's a single. Yep. A single energy token as well to go. And I love how these are so neatly separated. It makes it so easy. Just plink, 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 plink. Just pull it right the hell out. So by destroying those enemies, I was able to actually gain these tokens instead. So it's a better use of my energy. So I get to throw these, boom, in the bag for later use. Unfortunately, he is going to attack because I didn't get to do anything to slow him down, which will cost me a shield. And it means that I have to remove a token from the game when I lose shields. So we're going to lose a laser. All right, so when we're at this point, these discarded tokens stay right here. They don't go in the bag, back into the bag just yet, okay? So we actually are at the pilot plan stage, and this is where we go to draw new tokens. Now this stays used, all right, up until we get into a fresh warp or I have something else that brings my turn back around. Do keep in mind, though, that you have a hold, and if you have some token that you just can't do anything with, you have that extra, put it in your hold. You can use it again later if it's in your hold. It stays there. But if you just discard it and you're like, whatever, and then you're not going to have it. Say I had one energy I wanted to save to hopefully spend later. I could toss that in that hold and try to save up a little bit of money to make a bigger purchase, as an example. All right, so when we get to this point, we're going to draw our tokens. Now, we know we have enough tokens in this bag to get 5 more out because we added a bunch and we still had 5 in there. So let's draw them out. Let's see, 1 and 2, and that's 2 of my new ones, but I did shake this thing. 3, 4, and 1 more. 5. Boom, perfect. Now we're going to keep running this a little bit more into the next turn, but just to establish this right now, if we had gone to draw from this bag and we didn't have enough, right? We couldn't draw 5, then that's when the end of the warp is going to occur. So when we start talking about end of the warp here in a little bit, understand that it's this section of the game where I'm referencing that. Now, since I did have enough to draw up tokens for this next turn, boom, I'm good to go. Now I have to go back to step 1, do the next turn where we put enemies back out into whatever spots are missing. So we're going to throw some enemies out, and then I'm going to show you a couple of new things you can do with these tokens, and then we'll talk about the rest of the game. So we have 3 guys we need to fill. We got a Fury. That guy doesn't look too bad. And now we're starting to hit the yellows. These guys are a little bit hard, or not yellows, orange. We've got yellow, orange, and red. You see this one does 2 damage, but has some better level rewards, but takes much more to actually take out 3 evade or 5 lasers to take him out. You can still stun him with 1 though. 1 evade, 1 maneuver, not evade. 1 maneuver, 1 laser will still stun these guys as long as they don't have a special ability preventing that. So boom, there we go. And we got our last guy. Ooh, this guy looks pretty beefy too. Good lasers, though, if we can outmaneuver him. I think that's a 3. Yeah, so evading this guy would be great to get a 3 there. Now, one of the things that I haven't shown you guys is stuff like your power tokens. I finally drew the power token here. And like I said, they're going to be different for each one of your ships. It just depends on what ship you're flying and what its special ability is. on the back of the rule book, it lists down what all of these different tokens do. So they all have some type of special ability. They're not just your basic laser or outmaneuver or energy. They do something a little bit different. Like this one, Photon Blast, I like that one. You place the token between two adjacent targets and it counts as two lasers towards both targets. All right. And when one of those targets is defeated, this token stays with the other target. Really cool stuff. Overdrive, place this token between two adjacent targets. It counts as one maneuver against both targets. When one of those targets is defeated, token still stays. Now, the one that I drew was yellow one, special one down here, and I actually drew Enhance. Choose one energy or laser. Exchange any number of tokens. So it means that type. Choose energy or laser, not like a token. Exchange any number of tokens of that type from your pool with tokens of the same type, but the next higher value from the supply. That's freaking awesome. It's basically a free upgrade. So I could do my lasers here. I will spend this, and I've got a 1 and a 2. Okay, right here. Now it's a starter one. I'll set it off to the side, but I got a 1 and a 2. So I will exchange that 1 and a 2 for a 2 and a 3. And I'll bring that starter one back. Bam. Just like that. Now I've got better tokens. So imagine that thing coming around a few different times and using it on your other tokens and starting to beef them up. That's one of the special abilities you can have with this game. But like I said, it's different for each one of the ships. Now I think there's a little bit of crossover on some of the power tokens, but it is nice that there's that flavor, right? None of the ships are going to play the exact same because they all have different power abilities, and you can spend your energy to get the rest of those tokens, and you're going to need those tokens. You're going to need those one-off big beefy abilities to get these guys. You're not going to take out the higher level enemies with level 1 lasers, round after round after round. You're going to have to try to get some bigger numbers going, especially if you want to start trying to put damage towards the motherships that require like 6, 8, 6. Now you can destroy a section. All right, so that would signify that the section is destroyed, but occasionally they do have special abilities. Like this one has dreaded strength, which means that each section that's destroyed makes the other sections stronger. If one section is destroyed, the others do 1 more damage. If 2 sections are destroyed, the remaining section does 2 more damage. So it gets stronger the longer it's still in the game after it's had sections destroyed. Just neat little ability, and they all have their specials. All right, so let's talk about the big thing with this game, which is the warp. So the warp is kind of like the game resetting, right? It's resetting everything back to square. So you're getting another chance to get stronger. And the thing is, you're keeping these tokens that you're gaining as you're going along. So you're getting stronger with each warp, but you're going to have to contend with everything that you already contended with all over again, but now you've got less time. So it's kind of like I said, that time limit that's going to move on, but you're building your deck, you're building your hand as you're going. And in this case, it's going to be building your bag. All right, so let's say we had tokens that were assigned to enemies out and we had gone to draw and we didn't have enough and we triggered the end of the warp. What you're going to do is you're going to drag all of those tokens, right? So all of them, the ones from your discard, the ones that are still out here on the board, the ones that are on the mothership, all of these tokens come back and they all go back into your bag, forming your new hand. Also, what's going to happen is every card that's on this row, all your enemies, are going to be taken up along with all the ones that you had already defeated in the discard pile. You're going to shuffle all these together, all right? So now it's a new deck, and they go on top of your current deck or whatever's left, okay? So yes, it was starting out easy. We had the easier enemies to begin with, which gives you that little boost you need to get a few extra tokens in your hand. But now that's not going to be the case. We had started encountering those medium level enemies, and now they're shuffled up in here, so we could encounter one of those right there from the start. So you're going to place those there, all the ones from the discard, all the ones here that were out actually in the row. You also get to refresh your skill card, and you get to draw a couple of new skill cards and do the same thing again, where you draw your skill cards, pick one, keep it, and place the other one down there at the bottom. So like I said, you're building yourself as you go. Now we've got an extra skill we can use on our next warp. Once we've done all of that, we got ourselves all set for our next round. Then we're going to move our warp marker and we start again, just doing the exact same things we were doing. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, placing the enemies out, putting our tokens on them, taking them out one by one as we can, gaining our rewards, putting them in our bag, and keep drawing from the bag until we can't draw from them anymore, and then we go through another warp. The only thing that can cost you the game is if you run out of warps, so you run out of time, or your hull goes down to 0. Now, like I was showing you, though, there are some ships that do have that special ability. This one, if your hull goes down, you don't lose. You just reset hull and shields to max, and then the warp ends immediately. So this one's kind of a, what would you think, like a DPS, a mage. Hits real hard, but goes down quick, but it can kind of reset the time. So faster playing game, I would think, on that one. Now, with this game specifically, I think it takes a little while longer to play depending on especially the enemy that you chose and the ships that you're using, the luck of your draw. It just depends on a number of factors. I think you could play through a game of this as quick as 30 minutes, or it could take you over an hour if you have a real in-depth game going. You've got plenty of time left going on that. You've been able to amass a lot of tokens. So there is a lot of variety with this game, and I would say replayability, because if you think about it, you have 6 enemy ships, 6 enemy motherships, and 4 player ships. And that's if they decide to expand on it. I'd love to see them expand on it. So taking out each one of those motherships with each one of the ships, that's going to give you a buttload of game just in this small little box. That alone, I got to give them credit for that. Now, they say playtime 30 to 45 minutes. I think that's a good average estimate, especially if you've played the game for a little while. You understand the mechanics of it. You can start running rounds evening after evening. I remember David was commenting on his post about it that his little boy loved it. I think this is simple enough that if you've got younger children, especially if you're sitting there with them and helping them, that they'll be able to play this game. I think my little boy could play this game, and he's 6. So you could get in a handful of games in the evening, and that's really what you want from a game like this, is that just one more round. It's kind of like Civilization on the PC. That just one more turn, just one more turn, just one more turn. With this, it's going to be just that one more. I can get him. I can get him this time. I'll try doing this different type aspect. It reminds me of the Hunters, the Hunted rather, games that I had shown in the previous couple of weeks. In the way that it's played, that you're trying to hit your goal, and your goal's not changing, but you're trying to have your luck hit just right and make just the right decisions on, what enemies you're attacking, what damage you're doing to the mothership, what section you try to take out first. All those different choices are going to add up. And especially I see this one having a fair bit more replay value when it comes to it than I do the Hunted games. And it's not that I don't like the Hunted. I really like those games. But the extra motherships that this one has, like, I could see it taking a little while to learn how to play it well enough just to beat the Dread. And then you beat the Dread, and now you got to move up to the 2-star, and then the 3-star, and the 4-star. That's a buttload of game in a small little box. Got to give them credit. So who's this for? People who enjoy sci-fi, people who enjoy the solitaire game, especially solitaire games in a small box that have good replay value to it. There's a lot of games out there that you kind of learn a strategy to. Like, there's an old game called Friday that's been around for years. And I think that one, there is some replay value to it, but you kind of learn a strategy and you can push towards that strategy over time. In other words, you kind of learn how to beat the game. This one, I think you could eventually develop strategies, especially for the different motherships, but it's going to take a hell of a lot longer, and especially with the different pilot ships that you have to choose from to develop a core strategy to go with. Yeah, definitely like it. People who have the hunted, those types, right? Kobayashi Tower, the mining colony. The footprint, though, on this one is just a little bit bigger than some of the others. You are going to need a fairly decent amount of table space because you want to have enough room to set out your little token trays here, have the cards running out, and there can be a fair number of cards if you get enough skill cards, and then your tokens and everything else that's out on the board. So it's not as small a footprint as some of the other, little portable game boxes, but it does give you plenty of gameplay. So yeah, got to give it to Mr. DT. He's got good recommendation. This is definitely one that I enjoyed, and I'm going to be teaching to my little boy. I think others will enjoy it as well. Definitely feel free to give it a try. And stay tuned, because this one is definitely now on my radar from this company. As much as I have enjoyed this, I am looking forward to trying this out, the Proving Grounds. Looks like some type of gladiatorial combat, but I looked it up and the components don't look the same. All right, so it doesn't look like it's the kind of, I know I keep referencing these two, the hunted, both of those games where the core gameplay is the same between both of them. This one looked like it had a different type of gameplay to it compared to this one. But you guys stay tuned. I will get this one as soon as possible. But all right, that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Y'all take care. I'll see you in the next one.